let's go to the individual who's like experiencing this type of grief, like loss of a relationship, for example. Um, what would you say are some practical and healthy way of communicating that feeling to people around them? Because like you talked about the shame when people go through such grief. Sometimes it's like um, people sometimes feel ashamed, or they feel like they are being so much of a drama king or drama queen when um, the sort of grief that they are processing cannot be physically measured, right? It's not like, oh, you sort of like lost a loved one or something. So some people actually would kind of withdraw into themselves because they don't feel like whatever feeling or emotions they are going through at that particular time is worth saying. Some people would actually go as far as saying that, why am I feeling this bad, or why should I tell people when like there are people who are losing their parents every day, or there are people who are losing their children or whatnot. So why, like, mine is just, quote unquote, and they don't feel like it is worth bringing to the table to discuss with people around them. So how would you best advise people who find themselves in that kind of a situation?
Oh, that idea of comparing the enormity of tragedy, it can be quite tricky. Like, people have a lot of empathy for other people and they start like saying like, oh no, my own is small. But while the situation of losing a relationship may seem small compared to losing a person, your experience of it internally is not small. The experience of ending a relationship can be as traumatic as anything else. There are people that have somatic reactions to, processing the loss of a relationship where they are like throwing up or breaking out in hives or having nightmares or unable to sleep alone and all of these things. And if the impact of the end of that relationship is present with you, is just as valid as any other thing. And I think that there is space for you to feel your feelings and for you to talk about your feelings, and also have the other person talk about their feelings and feel their feelings too. You don't have to choose between one or the other. You can both expand to make room for what you're both experiencing at the same time. So, an interesting thing is that when someone else is going through something difficult while you are going through something difficult, it helps to have that shared experience. It's like life isn't smiling on both of us at the same time. Can we be each other's people? As opposed to, I'm going to be fine, you are not fine. There's a reason why group therapy helps, where everybody there, you're all experiencing something similar. So nobody is feeling like, oh, everything is going on with this person, so I can't bring my own in. It's like if we are both going through messes, can we both be messy together? I think that that is its own type of community where you're both sitting with each other when you're down, talking about the big feeling that showed up that day, talking about the good times that showed up that day, and you're making room for both of your situation. So I feel like there's a bigger payoff when you both recognize that there's something happening, there's something very significant happening to two of you at the same time. And this is an opportunity for you to both be present for each other, for you to both be vulnerable for each other, for you to be emotionally available for each other, because you're processing a loss the same way that other person is processing a loss, and that gives you like a unique kind of empathy that nobody else would understand. So if you see it that way as some sort of like difference, access that you have that other people that are fine or okay or whatever may not have, it makes it easy to make room for the both of you at the same time, as opposed to minimizing your own feelings so that the other person can say and say and say while you are shutting yourself down. So my point is there's space for the both of you, and access that space.
Um, we talk about the stigma surrounding mental health a lot in Nigeria, right? And I think one of the ways that stigma remains relevant or prevalent is the fact that we have also normalized this suffering Olympics in our culture, whereby it's like um mine is worse than yours is worse than
Yeah.
mine.
Hmm.
Like that has been sort of like a way to propagate the stigma in such of like, okay, why should I talk about mine, or why should I throw like a temper tantrum when when other people are going through XYZ and the rest. So I think
Yeah.
realizing that very very important part of our struggle in trying to like break down the stigma, that's something that should be constantly talked about, because it's like I saw a quote once: someone drowns in a pool of water and someone drowns in the ocean. At the end of the day, someone drowned. It's not about the quantity of the water, it's the simple facts that somebody actually drowned. So do you have some things to actually say to that?
I think like you captured that well. I think you actually captured that well. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily the situation that creates, your response. Is like your experience of that situation. Someone can go through a car crash and a plane crash and all of that, and then they would leave unscathed and they're like, oh, I survived and I'm okay. And someone can have like a brush of like an okada is just like zooming past them, and it will create its own type of like traumatic situation where a lot of things are activated. And someone can sit down and say like, but this person went through like a car crash and they're okay. But you don't get to decide what is valid enough to be traumatized by, or what is valid enough to be impacted by. The other person's, each person's experience of a situation is valid, and if they need help, if they need support, that's okay, give it to them.